Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new podcast. My name is JJ Vola. Alongside here is my co-host Cal. Today we have a special episode, and actually quite special because we have Barry on our episode. And what's interesting is Barry is our first guest that Cal and I do not have any previous relationship to. So this is actually a really fun one because we're going to dive into what Barry does and everything that he's gone to today, being a fitness trainer and everything that he's worked up to. Thank you so much, Barry, for being a part of today's podcast, and appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Cool. So walk us through, let's talk about just really what you do today, and then we'll kind of come back. What do you do as a fitness trainer today?
So I have like an online and in-person fitness business. So I train clients in person at my home up in Binbrook. And then I also run like an online coaching business. So one-on-one online coaching with clients, giving them their programs, nutrition, coaching, accountability, things like that.
Cool. Wow. And let's go back to young buck, early working, grinding at an early age. What was your first job? Walk us through quickly what you've gone through.
My very first job ever.
We want to know.
That's a good question, actually. My very first job ever, I worked at the Starlight Drive-In.
No way.
Oh, yeah. I ended up in Ancaster.
Like Stony Creek, Green Mountain Road,
right.
like right up the top of Centennial there.
Yeah.
Like $6.40 cash an hour, and like I was a pretty husky kid, so back then I basically you would get, when you got paid, you'd get this envelope full of money, and then if you were spending your pay, like you could write off whatever you wanted to buy from the snack bar on your check. So every time I got paid, I would get like next to nothing left because I would always spend like all my money on snack bar food, and then on the back of the envelope it's all like marked off like what you spent it on, and it's just like I don't know if I can swear. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, spending a lot of money on snacks back then, and just doing dirty work at the drive-in, cleaning the bathrooms. They had this weird, I don't know if you guys have ever been there, and I don't even know if they still do it, but they would put ice in the urinals.
Oh, no way.
I don't know if that's the thing.
I remember when I was younger,
feel like
people
it's
do
still a
that
thing.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a reason behind that, or you know?
They said that it had something to do with the smell. Like it would cancel out the smell, which doesn't like scientifically make sense, I guess.
Right.
But
Sure.
that was one of my jobs, was making sure there was always fresh ice in the pissers. That was literally my first. Yeah, that was my first job ever when I was 13.
Wow,
Sure.
Good stuff. And then going into more other careers that you had, kind of going through, walk us through them.
I did a lot of like I guess retail maintenance jobs, I guess, like stock boy stuff. I worked at Walmart for a couple of years. Had a job at No Frills for a little bit. Tim Hortons for a couple of years was probably the last job that I had that wasn't tied to like a career path.
Okay.
I guess you could say.
I worked at Tim Hortons too.
Yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then I left the job at Tim Hortons to go to school.
Okay.
So I went to school for broadcasting at Mohawk, and I graduated from there. I worked in broadcasting for like a year, and during that time was when I was really getting into fitness. So that was I did not enjoy the work that I was doing in broadcasting, so I ended up making the decision to go back to school up in North Bay for fitness. And then I came back from North Bay, had a job right away, and then I guess the rest is kind of history. That's about 12 years ago now. So,
And just for people who don't know, like, what is broadcasting?
so working in television production, basically, and at Mohawk, you would learn how to do everything essentially, from working the cameras, working the boards, a little bit of on-camera stuff, editing, all of that stuff. And then generally, when you get into working in broadcasting, you're like a production assistant, which can be something as boring as like driving to get coffee for people, right? Super early set times. There wasn't a lot of good broadcasting work locally. So you're driving out to Toronto for like 5 a.m. set times, stuff like that. Just miserable work, right? So
Long commutes, all that kind of stuff. So was that primarily why you didn't enjoy it? Because it was kind of...
It was the combination of all of that. Like the work just wasn't very, I guess, gratifying, I guess would be the word. And then obviously the commute will kill you.
Sure.
Especially like at my age, also wanting to have a bit of a social life and stuff like that. It's kind of tough.
Sure.
Yeah. And is that a paid gig? My buddy went through, he did broadcasting as well. He worked for a production studio as like his first job in Toronto, was commuting all the time. And I can't remember, was that paid or?
All of the work that I did, like after I finished at Mohawk, was paid. But I did do, I think it was the second last semester at Mohawk, was you had to do a paid internship for a full semester. In my internship, I actually had a really good internship. I interned at MTV Canada, but you had to commute to Toronto every single day, like on your dollar.
Sure.
Work there all day, commute home. So like it's cool to like be in that environment. Even then, though, some of the work wasn't like super enjoyable or anything like that, but it's cool to tell people that you're working at MTV,
Yeah.
even if it's for free.
Right.
100%.
And MTV Canada doesn't even exist anymore. So,
Right.
But yeah. So I landed a pretty good internship, which I think also opened some doors as far as like being able to get a couple of paying jobs right out of college in broadcasting.
Sure.
Like worked for did a couple of HGTV. I worked as a production assistant on the first season of So You Think You Can Dance Canada.
Oh, cool. That's
Wow.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. And then just wasn't for me. So
Yeah, interesting. Because then obviously that's what dived you into fitness. Have you always had a fitness journey, life, like always wanted to be in it?
No, I was a pretty overweight kid during high school. I played football. That was pretty much like the only physical activity that I looked forward to. Did not take care of myself, ate like shit. My parents both worked a lot, so I was at home by myself a lot or just with my sister a lot. So just eating whatever, get home from school, crush like whole box of pizza pockets, just like not taking care of myself. And then it wasn't until like after high school that I started getting into working out purely because I was a husky kid and I didn't want to be anymore.
Yeah.
But then I got really into it to the point where I kind of was the guy that my friends would come to for fitness advice. And then one day at the gym, one of the trainers there that I talked to all the time, I was getting pretty familiar with the staff. He kind of just put the idea in my ear, like, have you ever thought about being a personal trainer? And that was kind of, I started exploring my options as far as I was like, if I want to do this, I want to do it right. I don't want to just go and get a weekend certification. I'm going to go back to school if I'm going to do this. And then
Right.
I was, there was obviously university as an option, but I was older. Even when I went to Mohawk, I was a mature student. I don't think I went to Mohawk. I think I was like 21 or something like that. So technically I was a mature student. I didn't go to college right out of high school.
Right.
So I felt like I didn't have the time to do a 4-year degree. I took the credits that I had from Mohawk, transferred what I could transfer to Canadore in North Bay.
Yeah.
And that fast tracked the process to 2 years. And then that was it.
Wow.
Wow.
Cool.
Said that really fast.
What a journey.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Told the story a few times. I'm getting better at telling
Yeah.
it.
Sure.
Yeah, right to the point.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So what was kind of the transformation that you kind of went through from being like a husky kid? Like, where were you at kind of weight wise? And then what did you kind of get down to where people are like, God damn, Barry, like you're crushing it, dude.
I think I like my weight peaked out probably around like 230,
Okay.
which for a guy my height is, I guess, pretty heavy. I'm about 5'9", and now I probably like anywhere from 185 to 190
Yeah,
is
yeah.
where I sit. But obviously there's more muscle and stuff like that, so my body composition is healthier.
Sure.
I have been lighter. I would say like by the time I fully went through like an entire weight loss transformation back then, again because I didn't have as much muscle on my body, I was probably like pretty close to 180,
Okay.
like leaner.
Jesus.
I'm old now. It's hard
Yeah.
to
No.
So
maintain
dropping
that.
50 pounds, like that's quite a bit of weight. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's unreal. I remember when I was going to college, like the big thing was like with all your buddies, you go hit the gym together, all that, gym tan laundry on a Friday, and then get ready for the weekend, sort of
Yeah.
thing. So, yeah, man, that's incredible. Jesus. And then from there, so which gym did you start being like a personal trainer at, or?
My first job as a personal trainer that I had when I got back from school was at Premier Fitness on Upper James. It's Crunch now. It's like behind
Okay.
the East Side Mario's there.
Yeah.
The gym that I started working out at, where I was like familiar with the staff and everything, was it's a Fit for Less now, but the one on Barton and Centennial.
Okay.
Yeah.
The smaller one. Was it a little small?
It's a Fit for Less now, yeah. And
Right.
It was a Good Life, and before that, I think when I first got my membership there, it was like just wrapping up as a Family Fitness.
Okay. Wow.
Premier. I remember Premier. Weren't they
Shady.
pretty big?
Shady
No.
as
Okay.
shit.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Shady business, man. I told this story before, but I remember like the best month that I had as a trainer was like when Premier Fitness went bankrupt, so I didn't get paid for that month. Like literally, like at the time, the most money that I had made as a trainer, I didn't get paid. It's like 2 years later, the government paid me out. Check just showed up without warning one day, so that was a good day. But it
Awesome.
was not. Yeah.
Now, how does a personal trainer work in a sense? Like, do you have to be a partner with that gym, or could you just show up with the person that you're training with at any gym?
It depends. I mean, the latter that you said there, like, is not really like an option. You couldn't really, like, I couldn't just grab a client, walk into a Good Life, and be like, "Hey, I'm going to train this person here today."
Right.
I'm sure there are people who do that. I'm sure they don't mention it on the way in, but I'm sure there are trainers who kind of train people at Good Life.
Yeah, make it seem like they're
that. It's
with a friend.
quite quite frowned upon,
Right.
actually. If you're working at a bigger gym, you are more than likely an employee of that gym. So whatever the hourly rate is that person is paying, you're getting I don't want to say a fraction because that makes it sound like it's not a lot, but it really depends on the gym. But it's usually anywhere from like 40 to 60% of what that person is paying is what you're getting, and that's typically anywhere from like $60 to $85 an hour is what people are paying for personal trainers. I think, I don't know. I've been in a little bit of a bubble for the last couple of years as far as that side of things goes. And then there are there's a lot more of them now, like studio gyms where you can go, and they might have like a similar structure where you're an employee of that studio gym and they pay you a portion of what you're charging. Or there are a lot more now that will just rent the space to you. You're paying a monthly lease, or you're paying a set amount of money per session that you work. But also the thing that I should mention about bigger gyms is they are probably also bringing a lot of business to you, right? Rather than like you having to go out of your way if you're an independent trainer to bring all the business in yourself, right? Which is hard. And if I was to go back, I would say the one thing that I didn't take advantage of enough was like learning at a big box gym, like how to sell and how to like bring in new business for myself and pull new clients for myself off the floor and learn all of the back end. Cause like at a gym like that, you're probably not going to learn a whole lot about what it means to be a good trainer, but you can learn a lot about what it means to be a good salesman. And I know like I've always struggled. I have a terrible relationship with sales. Like I've never been good at sales. And I think that's because like some of the people that I've worked for in the past were a little bit like quote unquote like scummier salespeople. So it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you work for yourself, you have to sell yourself. That's essentially what you're doing. Maybe that's not the best word to use for it, but you have to promote yourself. People have to buy into the service that you provide. So I wish that I would have taken advantage of more of what was available to me in terms of like learning how to sell myself. Because at the end of the day, like if you're good at what you do and you know that you can help somebody, you're almost like you're doing them a disservice by not trying to sell them on it. If they're looking for the service you provide and you know that you can provide that service well, you're doing them a disservice by not selling them on your services. Did that even make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, you could be amazing at.
Does that even make sense? I don't know.
You could be amazing at anything, but it's forcing in front of people's eyeballs to see that that's what you do, right? And grabbing more clients for yourself, and then eventually, if you can create a team, your own fitness team trainer, right? And then eventually gym. Whatever the case is, I'm sure maybe you got some goals and steps in the future.
I don't know. I don't think I want to have like people working for me. I don't know. We'll see. See where it goes.
No worries. And what would you say is the challenging part of being a trainer?
Getting people to listen to you is very hard. Like getting people to buy into what you are trying to tell them that they need to do to accomplish the goals that they have is a struggle. Finding new business when necessary is difficult at times. Scaling and just staying organized, I find, like especially now, like working for myself, that's another thing too that I probably didn't take advantage of enough when I was working, even when I was working more in the private sector, just learning more about how to keep the back end of a business organized.
Yeah, I mean, I am sure a lot of people don't necessarily want to show up a lot of these times too, in that sense too. I mean, obviously they're probably more committed to want to be with a trainer, but in a sense of, Cal and I going to the gym, whatever the case is, like it's easy to say no too, right? I mean, we all, you probably know a lot of your family members that have gym memberships or whatever the case is that just don't want to go, or, they went for a month and then they, things change, right? So to me, like I would think that people showing up would be one of the hardest parts, or
no,
pretty good.
I think, well, I mean, we talk about like getting family to work out is a completely different story. And something that I've pretty much given up on. Like we can talk about that later if you want. But
after the podcast,
we can talk about it on the air too. I'll happily.
It's important. Like that's a big topic.
Down to talk about my dad.
Okay.
No, to answer your question, like I don't have a lot of clients who don't look forward to coming. And I think there's a few reasons for that. I think some of the clients that I have clients that I've been working with for because I work with a lot of older people too. They're not there to lose weight. They're there to live longer, essentially. Sounds tacky, but it's true. I've had some of them, it's like 5-6 years, right? And you also got to, like, some of these people have gone through like a spouse passing away or things like that. It is something that they look forward to. They look forward to the feeling, because I also I'm very particular at saying, like, if you, like, it's not my job to like run you into the ground. When you leave my gym, I want you to feel better than when you showed up. Like, obviously we are working to an overarching goal, but I try to remind myself of this because I get tired too. I'm a parent. I have 2 kids, busy with work. I get tired sometimes. But if somebody is looking forward to coming to see me and they're paying a premium to see me for an hour, like, I better show up for that person.
Right.
Sure.
It's the best. For some people, it might be the best part of their day. Maybe they had a day at work and they're looking forward to blowing off some steam at work. And then also, like, I have like some, wealthier clients or higher profile clients. I have some clients that I like leave the house for. I go train them at their gym, and I'm seeing these people for like 3 hours a week. Some of their family doesn't even see them for 3 hours a week, right? So I mean, like, it sounds deep, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
True.
Like, some of their not necessarily their immediate family, but there are probably people who would like to spend more time with that individual who don't get to spend as much time with that individual as I do.
Right.
And these are just like little things to be cognizant of, because I think a lot of trainers, especially when I go, because I work out at Good Life a couple times a week, I just like to get out of the house and have a change of scenery. Like, some of those trainers don't give a shit about their job. And I think a lot of that has to do with, one, they know what that person is paying and they know what portion of that money they make, and it causes them to care less, because they're like, wow, this person's paying $80 an hour, but I'm only getting 25 or 30. Why should I even bother? But at the end of the day, it's like they still paid $80 to come and see you. Right. And if you're not okay with that, like, go find a different job, because at the end of the day, they still have a certain expectation for what they're going to get for the money they paid, even if you're not okay with the amount of money that you're being compensated.
True.
Go look elsewhere, get better at your job, so that a better gym that's going to compensate you better will hire you.
Yeah. Now, what are some highlights about the job? Like, what are you proud about, the job? I'm sure you see a lot of people before and afters, and a lot of changes that I'm sure you've kind of helped a lot of people go through. Like, what are some good things about the job that you love?
I mean, that's really it. Like, there's a lot of different ways to change somebody's life, but I think, like, that's the essence of it, is changing somebody's life, whether it's through like a weight loss transformation or helping them move better or giving them more energy or helping them be more like physically present with their kids, being able to play with their kids longer. Like, you go to, like I said, I have 2 kids. So you go to, like, a great example that I always use is like the Flying Squirrel, the trampoline park. You go there, like, how many parents are sitting on the couch, they don't get off their to play with their kids? You're at a trampoline park, man. If I go to a trampoline park with my kids, I'm going on a trampoline, like, or we go to, like, during the summer, we go up to, like, do you guys know what Shirkston Shores is? Like, I'll go up there like a couple times during the summer. They have a sick playground there. I'm climbing on that and I'm sure if you asked those parents, like, they would like to be able to do those things, but they can't. But it's kind of gotten away from them, and they don't even know anymore, like, what it feels like to feel good.
Like, just mobility.
There's really no reason for like a 40-year-old man or woman to not be able to still physically play with their kids, but their lifestyle has put them in a position where they are not comfortable doing that. Or they're not comfortable wearing a bathing suit, or they're not comfortable taking their shirt off at the beach, or there's all of these things that, because of the way that they, like, look, move, or feel, they just do not have the confidence to do those things, where if they were living life differently, they would. And I can help with that.
I mean, health and fitness is all mental. I mean, really, at the end of the day, like, to get up, to go to the gym, to hire a personal trainer, to go out, do a 45-minute walk or whatever it may be, like, it's all mental. And I think that's a huge part of it that people don't really think about. If they can just get their mind right and start with something very small and progressively kind of work on it, then that might help out a bunch. So what would you say to, like, people like that are like, hey, I want to do these things, but, like, what's something very small that I can do, like, today to progressively build up my confidence to get back to the gym, or to call someone like you, or whatever it may be?
I would say, like, go for walks. Is like, people just don't understand, like, how good walking is for you, and, like, all you have to do, and this would probably offend somebody, but all you gotta do is be able to walk. And somebody who can't walk will be offended by me saying that, but that's okay.
But it's reality. It's reality.
All you need to do is be able to walk to go for a walk, and some people won't even do that, and I think that's because they just don't understand what a difference it will make for them to go for start with whatever you can, even if it's just 10 minutes. But if you can get in like 3 10-minute walks a day or whatever it is, just start moving your body and go from there. And like on the eating side of things, just I try to tell people like it's really important to eat more protein. Try to stay away from the processed foods, because that's just the stuff that people tend to overeat. A lot of the stuff that I preach is just based on, like, I don't like to sound like sciencey, but I don't necessarily tell people not to eat processed foods because I think processed foods are unhealthy. I think I tell people not to eat processed foods because processed foods are very easy to overeat. Sure. When you look at a bag of chips, I'm not telling somebody to avoid chips because it has seed oils. I'm telling them to avoid chips because they're going to eat too many chips and it's going to keep them overweight.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. That's crazy, man. I
Or
mean,
some people will say like you shouldn't drink Diet Coke. You shouldn't tell some like some people take it to the extreme of saying that regular pop is better for you than diet pop, which is absolutely insane. Like a can of pop probably has like 160 or 200 calories. Some people drink 3 pops a day. If they can swap their regular Coca-Cola for Diet Coca-Cola that has 0 calories, that's 600 calories a day that they're not drinking anymore. That's a very simple, cut and dry way to reduce your calorie intake. If you can reduce your calorie intake by 600 calories a day, I can almost guarantee you're going to lose weight. Right. That's a lot.
Sure.
Right? That's a lot. And also, like, are sweeteners the healthiest thing for you? No. But if you're super overweight, what is losing weight going to do for you compared to avoiding sweeteners? If we can get you to switch from regular pop to artificial sweeteners and stop drinking all those calories and you start to lose weight, that's probably going to improve your health a lot more than avoiding sucralose or something. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
What's the trade-off? Like, what's, you know?
Yeah, it's all about making a healthy routine day to day.
Yep.
Right.
You have to look for the simplest things. Some people will look for like the most complicated thing, the most complicated way, or like the most unsustainable way to get a super fast result, like cut out carbs or stop eating breakfast or something like that, right? All of these things that they look forward to, and they cut these things out, but they also cut these things out kind of with in the back of their mind, when I get to where I want to go, I can start doing these things again. But what they don't understand is like your body is going to, whatever you are doing, at the end of the day, if you're trying to lose weight, the only thing that matters really is like your calorie balance. And I'm purely just talking about like losing weight and losing fat. I'm not even necessarily talking about health. There's a million different ways to do that, to achieve like this calorie balance that you would need to lose weight. You have to keep in mind how sustainable that is for you, because if you drastically reduce the amount of calories that you're taking in every day, your body's going to adapt to that. So if you do all of that and you hit the weight loss goal that you have, your body is now adapted to this super low, maybe, calorie intake that you have, and you start introducing all these foods again that you were eating before that were keeping you overweight, and now your body's adapted to this super low calorie intake. And that's kind of why a lot of people, when they eventually hit their goal and they go back to eating the way that they were, they put the weight back on so quickly, right? You look at all these people who do like super drastic low carb or keto diets, or they're doing crazy fasts, or like juice diets, and
Just unrealistic stuff that is not maintainable.
It's not unrealistic because it does accomplish what they set out to do. It just doesn't help them sustain it. There's no exit strategy. There's no plan. And they're also not worried about like maintaining their strength or their muscle mass. They literally are just worried about what the scale says.
Right.
It all comes down to factor, right? Your muscle mass down to your body fat percentage, all that stuff.
Your body composition.
Yeah. Wow. And what, like to most people, what is more important? I mean, is it to have more muscle or is it to have less fat? What would you say? I mean, I guess it kind of works out to being both, but
it's kind of a loaded question. But I mean, like, it's like, what do you feel good at? Really? I mean, obviously, it would probably not be great to have too much of either. I think I'd probably rather have too much muscle than too much fat, but I wouldn't want to have too much of either.
It's wild, man. Like, just I mean, the whole working out thing. So I did a program recently called 75 Hard.
Yep.
I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yep.
I just like kind of finished it and whatnot, and I'm probably gonna do it again at some point. I mean, I had my first beer the other day, but it's 75 Hard. You have to work out every day indoors. 45-minute outdoor workout. Drink basically a gallon of water, and then read 10 pages of a book, all that kind of stuff. So, and then eat clean, and whatnot. And it was cool, man. Like after 75 days of, walking every day and just getting in that habit sort of thing, going to the gym every day, like that was crazy for me. Like I had no option. Like I had to do these things or else I fail the program and have to restart sort of thing. Is something like that like a good idea for someone that might be, I guess, is trying to get started? Is it maybe a little bit too much, or?
I think it depends on the kind of person. I think some people, something like that would be a good jump start for them. But again, I assume from what you're saying that you don't, now that you're done your 75 days, you don't do the majority of those things anymore.
I don't. I go to the gym every day, but other than that, I don't
So
do
I think
those things.
that kind of answers the question, right?
Sure.
There are certainly aspects of a program like 75 Hard that are good, but those are also, again, like just like you said, you go to the gym now every day, and you don't need to go to the gym every day. If you want to, that's fine. But like drinking enough water, and like not everybody has to read, or like if you don't want to read books, that's fine. That's fine. Sure. But going for walks and stuff like that, like these are things that people should, in my opinion, if you can, you should be making time to do these things, not just because of weight loss either, right? And that's a problem too with a lot of people who need to lose weight. They look at fitness and they look at strength training and all of this stuff. It's literally just like it's like the fire extinguisher behind the glass that they can break when it gets too problematic. Like I better start working out now because I'm getting fat.
Sure.
But like these are things like fitness and exercise. These are things that can like just literally improve your quality of life absent of how much you weigh.
Right. Right.
They can improve your, like literally exercise has been shown to be almost like a better treatment for depression than medication.
Yeah.
Like there's evidence of this stuff.
Sure.
Well,
Right?
I mean, healthy body is a healthy mind,
For sure.
And, because if you can stay committed to 3 to, 8, 12 months of being consistent, going to the gym or following a routine on a day-to-day basis instead of whenever you feel like it, you see results, you get more confident. Like I have one buddy right now, he was, he was a heavy set kid. He was like 280, 290 was his like comfortable weight. And, I think just after talking about it, you can try to hit the keto, it works, right? But then you fall off of it, you get back in other routines. And now if he's watching this, he's hustling. He's I think he shredded like 50 pounds. If not, he's now under 250 and close to 240. And what he's putting in a daily grind, less than 1,500 calories a day, an hour workout, like it's crazy. So you can make a change. But
He's eating how many calories?
He's on a serious calorie deficit, which I told him he should eat more. But if you're watching this, get some advice.
It's just all about like sustainability. If you are happy eating the way that you're eating, knock yourself out. If you are eating the way that you are eating with like the end game in mind, you're like, I just got to push to the finish. Like you're probably going to have a bad time at some point.
Yeah.
Or you don't have an exit strategy. Like if you want to go, like you have to go into a calorie deficit to lose weight. You have to. It's the principle. It's not a, like calorie deficit gets tossed around now as kind of like a buzzword and almost thrown in. It's almost like you can do a calorie deficit or you can do keto or you can do intermittent fasting. But it's like, no, if you lose weight doing keto or intermittent fasting, you did that because those two things got you into a calorie deficit. Calorie deficit is the principle. It's not the method. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have to understand like the more drastic calorie deficit that you go into, you're going to lose weight faster, but you're also probably going to put it back on if you just like cut and dry, go from like that hard diet to like eating the way that you were before. Like, man, I can't wait to finish this diet so I can eat pizza again.
Right.
You're probably going to have a bad time if you don't have an exit strategy. It's like, okay, well maybe instead of like eating 1,200 calories a day, you could either like go into not quite as steep of a deficit. The weight's going to come off slower, but it's going to be more sustainable when
I see.
Or you could maintain your steep deficit and then gradually increase your calorie intake, but that's going to take a little bit more like accountability and organization on your part as far as like tracking.
So you're saying is going from 1,500 to let's say back up to 2,200 or 2,500 could dramatically put the weight back on
for sure
if interesting. If he's not paying attention to what he's eating or what he's consuming.
Not even necessarily what, but how much.
Yeah.
Something tells me it's not going to be 2,500 calories of broccoli and chicken breast, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be all the foods that he misses.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so crazy and everyone's so different, right? I mean, everyone, when they come to you, they might have like everyone has different goals and like where they want to go and whatnot. So how do you kind of take the time to like really figure out, you know, what that person's goals are, how deep you have to, I mean, kind of interview them and like figure out, you know, what are you trying to achieve with working with you?
Yeah, we go through like I'll send them, whether it's an online client or an in-person client. Either we're gonna have a conversation on the phone or like via messenger, but there's always like a questionnaire involved, so I send them over a questionnaire to collect some information. Sometimes I'll kind of go through that questionnaire over the phone with them. Sometimes they'll fill out the questionnaire and then we hop on a call, but there's always the information is collected, like what is your experience with exercise, have you ever worked with a trainer before, and then obviously all the like injury history, things like that, all the stuff that we need to know, a little bit about goals, and then it's just an ongoing conversation.
So Barry, like, I mean, you do a lot of like social media posting, like on Instagram, you're pretty active almost every day with like informational facts and whatnot. So do you get a lot of customers through that, the online, like social media?
I would say like a lot of my online clients come from social media. Like people reach out and inquire about online coaching mostly through social media. My in-person training is mostly referral based, or just like, yeah, I'd say, I guess referral based. I know I'm not in any of the groups, but there's like local mom groups on Facebook. And the town that I live in Binbrook, so it's just outside Hamilton. It's a smaller town, and everybody kind of knows each other. So I guess my name comes up when people ask about personal training and stuff like that. Some of the in-person training clients that I have, I've had since before I had my own business. I was training these clients at the gym that I worked at before, and they kind of followed me. But as far as in-person training goes, I'm kind of maxed out right now, so it's almost like a wait list type of thing, which is a good problem to have. But also, I'm not working like 50 hours a week or anything like that. It's more like 25 to 30 hours. That's where I like it capped out, and so that's where I keep it. And then trying to scale the online side of the business, which, like I said, most of the inquiries for that come from referrals, some comes through content, but also it's something that I need to be better at, as far as like not just putting out content. We were talking about this off the air, but marketing the services that I provide, and not just like, obviously it's nice to provide people value, and I get good feedback on my content all the time as far as like how helpful it is and how simple it is, and like how I simplify kind of complex topics. But also at some point that content needs to convert over into clients. And again, I don't know if we were talking about it. No, we were talking about it on the air about how I just have a kind of shitty relationship with sales. I don't like to be salesy in my content.
Sure.
And I think some of it comes from that. Some of it also comes from knowing that like I did not separate my personal social media from my business social media. So the page that I post all of my content on Instagram is my personal page. So I also know that on top of all the people who follow me for fitness information, all of my friends and family and all of that stuff are on there too. Right. I think that maybe that has a little bit of an influence on not being as salesy, or, you know what I mean, marketing as much as I should, or really not having like a solid, like obviously I offer online coaching, but not like a solid like offer, I guess is the term that people use in the space. Like, this is my online coaching, this is what you get, this is, you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
Yeah, like creating like a module where someone can just buy the course from you, and then you have like a set module that you can go through.
Or just like a solid, I don't even really know how to explain it, but just need to do a better job of marketing what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
And more so also like marketing like what it does for people, because obviously that's what people buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The transformation.
Yeah. They're buying the result. They're not buying the weekly check-ins and the workouts. You know what I mean? They're buying the results.
So if I like came to you and I was like, hey, I need some personal training, I need some help, Barry. So how would that work if I was like an online client sort of thing?
If you were an online client, you would do like an intake form questionnaire, and then we would go through. We'd probably hop on a call just to talk about the service. If you were inquiring, we would hop on a call to talk about the service, make sure that it's a fit for you, and then we would go ahead and get all of the accounts set up, so it's all done through an app.
Okay.
Like the workouts are delivered through an app, the check-ins are delivered through an app, all that stuff. And then once we had all of your accounts set up, I get you set up with like your calories and your workouts and stuff like that. And then once all of that stuff is locked in, we hop on another call where I'm literally like taking you through how to use everything, make sure that you're comfortable with knowing how to go through your workouts, knowing how to track your nutrition, knowing how to upload your measurements and your weight and all your progress check-ins and things like that, and just making sure that people are super comfortable and checking in with them to make sure, again, that they're comfortable. And then from there, just messaging back and forth, doing actual check-ins once a week. So like every Friday, checking in with them to see how the week went, what went well, what didn't go well, what do you think you need to work on next week. And then I'll always record a video based on whatever their check-in says, to just kind of go over like what the action steps are, what we need to focus on next week, just to keep it a little bit more personal. And that was something that I actually implemented recently. I was just responding to everybody via Messenger, just like typing out a response for them. But then I kind of realized like a lot of these people will never see me in person if I don't find a way to get in front of them. And I was like, maybe I should just, it's very easy to send people personalized videos. It's almost arguably easier than typing out a response.
Sure.
So I just started sending them more personalized videos, and the reception to that was really good right away. So
Awesome.
Cool.
I've just been doing that.
Unreal.
Wow.
Unreal. Wow.
Because it connects the one-on-one a lot better from
Yeah.
the client to you too, and they see the face of the name
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you, Barry, what's the best way? Whether it's website, Instagram name, or all that stuff, give us a little breakdown of the ways to contact you.
Probably the best way to contact me is just on Instagram at builtbybarry. Builtbybarry.ca is my website. There's really not much going on there, but there is a link to actually, if you go to my website, there is some high protein recipes. There's a little ebook there. If you go there and you punch in your email, you'll get a recipe book. But then there's also a link to the questionnaire to get set up with online coaching. But if you're looking for like helpful content and all that stuff, that's at builtbybarry on Instagram.
Cool.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. Unreal.
And I know we're going to wrap the podcast shortly, but a couple of things we love to finish the podcast off with is, if you give yourself 20-year-old advice, what would it be?
4 pizza pockets is probably too much.
Is in one sitting or
One sitting.
Yeah.
I was always a nachos guy. I came home
Yeah.
from school just like
I
a
know.
pile of cheese, hot peppers, nachos.
Taco
Like just
Bell.
fucking
Too much
drip
work.
that, man.
And just where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years? What are some goals do you have?
I'd like to I really enjoy in-person training. I think a lot of personal trainers are trying to get away from in-person training to go completely online. But I don't see myself stopping doing in-person training. But I would like to just scale the online portion of my business and keep creating helpful content for people. So maybe 5 years from now, probably just like a more scaled up version of what I'm doing now. Really,
Right.
is probably
True.
the plan.
Wow.
Unreal.
Well, Barry, thank you so much for being a part of today's podcast. We really appreciate you having being on the part of the show. To everyone who's listening and watching, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any further content. We really appreciate you guys being part of today's podcast, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you so much, guys. See ya. Wow. Good stuff,
Awesome,
Barry.
man.
Appreciate
Thanks,
that.
man. Unreal, dude.
Yeah, thank you
That
so
was
much.
sweet.
Good shit.